Welcome to Freaks and Creeks, a Dawson's Creek podcast, the show where four millennials who missed the boat 25 years ago take the dive for the first time. Join us as we experience the series with a fresh perspective week to week and see if our adolescent experiences match up with Dawson and the gang. My name is Cody.
I'm Stella.
I'm Mal, short for Mallory.
And I'm James, and this week we are talking about Season 1, Episode 3, titled Kiss. This episode aired on February 7th, 1998, and here is the rough synopsis. It says, the class movie hits some trouble, giving Dawson an advantage. Joey falls in love with a visitor to the town. Pacey's school achievements and his relationship with Tamara intensify, and Dawson brings his feelings about Jen out into the open. It's written by Rob Thomas, and it was directed by Michael Toshiyuki Uno. And this was a great episode, I thought. What did you all think about the watch this time? How did it go for you?
I mixed feelings. I think I liked it less than the last episode. Yeah. Not my favorite so far. I mean, we're only 3 in, but I was definitely surprised. So I'm excited to talk about it, and I'm still excited to keep watching. I'm intrigued. I want to know what happens next, but wasn't a big fan of the ep.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I didn't like it quite as much as the last episode. I did feel like we're getting to know more about Cape Side a little more, and I enjoyed that. Seeing lots of water and boats, lots of B-roll of that type of thing. I don't know, plots seem to be advancing, and I feel like we're kind of starting to dig in a little more. I don't know.
The thing that I can say with my utmost confidence of this is an episode of Dawson's Creek. I don't know. It was fine. There's some things I really like. There's some things that I really did not like. But also for a clarification, this was written by Rob Thomas. Is that the creator of Veronica Mars, or is that the singer of Matchbox 20?
I'm pretty sure it's the singer of Matchbox 20.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Give me your heart, make it real, or else forget about
Exactly.
it. Cool.
Yeah, I did notice Santana was in the background of every shot. I don't know if you guys saw that, so that's what I'm basing that off of.
So that's where that sick-ass guitar lick was coming
Exactly.
from. Okay.
Yeah, he actually wrote the music that Anderson Crawford was playing on his violin on the boat. That was actually a Santana lick.
That's
a little known fact. I think without further ado, actually, sorry, I have one thing that I have to mention.
Oh, and I do too.
Before we get in about the time period around this episode. So this, like I said, was released on February 7th. And actually, I have a note that it was released on February 3rd, which...
Oh, really?
I need to double check that. But the only reason that I find that important is because we mentioned a very popular... crime case that is very relevant to this whole Pacey and Tamara Jacobs drama, which is the Mary Kay Letourneau. Mary Kay Letourneau is the teacher who in the 90s was convicted of rape of a minor who was her student. So on February 3rd, she is released, or she is convicted. She's found violating her probation.
Oh no.
She's been out of jail for a little bit at this point in time. And what happens is she, as part of her stipulation for her plea deal, where she, instead of serving 7.5 years in prison, she only gets 6 months in jail.
That's it?
Yes. Whoa. 3 months of which is suspended. So she actually only does 3 months in a penitentiary, and then she gets out where she basically has 3 months of supervised house arrest. So she only serves 6 months for this very strange relationship that she has with a literal child. And on February 3rd, 1998, just 4 days before this episode is released, she is caught with this child who is now, I want to say, 18 or something. So he's an adult at this point in time. But as part of her plea deal, she had to have no contact with him for life. Mm-hmm. And she is caught in a vehicle with him, just the same way that it happened way back when they were caught fooling around in the back of a car. And they have a bunch of money, they have a bunch of documents, and they are basically planning to escape the country together at this point in time. And a couple days later, I think actually on February 7th, she is then sentenced to her full prison sentence at that point in time by the judge, who is like, okay, clearly you are not actually in good faith trying to stay away from your victim. and the father of 2 of your children.
I
So
mean, her 3-month punishment of jail wasn't enough for her
right,
to,
yeah,
Can't wait to see what happens to Miss Jacobs here.
yeah, exactly. So
That's so cool that you can go to prison for life
Yeah.
for a nonviolent drug crime, but if you have
Right.
sex with a minor, you get 20 minutes in
yeah,
jail.
you get a little, pretty much a slap on the wrist. Fun stuff.
I wanted to say something fun. So we're all of our armchair expert theories on some writing here is valid. So I was listening to an episode of Gilmore Guys, and it's an old one, but Aisha Mahar had said that there was a writers reunion panel for Dawson's Creek back in 2015, and during that, Kevin Williamson had said that Joey was written as a boy.
Ah,
And it was because of like the studio that they like forced that to end up being, for a girl.
interesting.
Yeah, and it was,
Interesting.
and Joey was 100% based on a childhood relationship he had. Well, not childhood, but like during his adolescence, he was in love with a
Wow.
friend.
Yeah.
So
I think that's interesting. I'm glad. Do you feel vindicated, Cody? Because I feel like you're the first person to throw that out when we were talking about the show.
maybe. I mean, yeah, I definitely do, but it's
You're clairvoyant.
my third eye is wide open. I think that it just felt really obvious that her name is Joey and
Right.
he's gay and he was closeted for so long that it just felt like, oh, this has to be like a queer coded character. So, and it was. That's great.
Yeah.
But I haven't. Listeners out there, don't scream at me if I've gotten anything incorrect about this. This is just what Aisha Mahar said, so tweet at her. But I didn't want to Google anything more about this because I didn't want to get any spoilers of
Right.
what else must have been talked about. I mean, if it was like
Totally.
a big panel, I don't want any spoilers. So
Did they happen to mention this? What I'm pretty sure is fact, but Nellie being a vampire. Did they talk about that at all?
they talked about the connection to the Vampire Diaries Kevin Williamson universe.
When Cody
Wow.
told me that, like, I feel like that just would have changed the whole
Yeah.
dynamic of
Yeah.
the show. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know like what it originally would have
Wanna
looked like.
see Dawson's Creek with Joey.
Yeah.
I hope there's like
As
an original
Joseph.
script
Yeah.
out there of like before all the changes were made because that'd be great.
Yeah.
It would be
love it.
interesting.
Be
It would be really cool to see that. It would also, I'm glad they made that change though, because can you imagine if it was fucking Joey as a dude, Dawson and Pacey walking around? Like,
And then Jen.
Jen, yeah. Jesus.
Yeah, this show already has way too much gross testosterone. going
Yeah.
on for it, so.
And I don't know, I know we're kind of in the pre-episode discussion here. This episode is where it hit me. Everybody talks the same in this fucking show. Like when they get into the heightened stylistic dialogue, every person sounds the same.
I think that's just the flavor of the show for me though. Like it doesn't really it's like Buffy or any other show. Like they're gonna have that unique style of speaking to it. Like Gilmore Girls obviously has their version of that where everyone talks really fast and every single sentence is a
Right.
pop culture reference.
Yeah.
But I think with this, it's that I don't know. I can't put my finger on like what it is, but it's like teen noir.
Definitely.
Like everyone's making these like really strange allegories with everything that they say.
Right.
I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely stylized.
Well, I guess, does anybody have any final thoughts before we actually jump in and do the scene by scene?
Get into it.
Fuck yeah. All right. Cody,
All right.
take us away.
Yeah. So the opening teaser it has Dawson and Joey watching from here to eternity, and this is where the rest of the episode's theme plays out, where they're talking about the difference between having kind of a cynical outlook where you should just have romance happening when it does, when it happens, let it be natural versus Dawson's weird setup of thinking that everything needs to be staged for romance to happen, which is gross and just like more in line with his character. I guess at least he's still exactly who he is. Like this isn't off for him. Like he thinks everything needs to be staged. Joey says, you can't storyboard a kiss, and which is funny because later we're gonna see that these two characters are gonna do a little swapperoo.
Yes,
Exactly.
indeed. I had a note here when Joy was criticizing Dawson. She was referring to the movie and she said, "It's take 22. The girl is bored. The guy is gay. It's celluloid propaganda." And I kind of looked up researched From Here to Eternity a little bit, and apparently Burt Lancaster, who plays the man who has the affair with Deborah Carr, that character played by Deborah Carr, he was gay. He had affairs with men. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so between that and then also like Dawson making that quip to Joey if she's actually into Sandra Bullock,
Right.
like
yeah,
two little gay quips there.
Interesting.
right, yes. A note on the Sandra Bullock and Brad Pitt comment. I was like, have they ever been in a movie together?
Oh, yeah.
Or was it just a reference
have
to
they?
two really famous, actors in the 90s? And I couldn't find anything until
This
The
week,
Lost City.
Right.
which
They're
was
just calling
released
it.
this week.
That's
yeah,
so
I thought
funny.
that was so funny.
I was just more shocked that he was surprised that she was attracted to Brad Pitt.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, the
it's like
most
everyone-
handsome man
yeah.
on earth.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't you had a thing with Brad Pitt?
I think I may have like said something about this in our last recap, but I just keep going back to like Dawson. Like, what does he actually know or like about Jen? Like, he seems so adamant, like, oh, I have to create this like perfect moment for our kiss. Like, she's just so amazing. And it's like, what do you know about her? Or are you just like really just infatuated with this idea of romance?
Yeah. Just has a major crush, I think.
Yeah.
Like she has a pretty head. That's all
Yeah.
he knows about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has no idea anything about her besides the fact that she seems to want to go along with my movie idea. Like that's about it. I liked this scene though, when we're talking about this scene in totality and in relationship to the rest of the episode. I liked it because it puts Dawson and Joey are diametrically opposed here, right? Dawson is saying movies are real. You can live your life through as a movie if you just try, right?
Yeah.
Like all you have to do is think about it like a movie and it can be real. And Joey is like, no, movies are not real life. You're living a fantasy. But we end up seeing, like you mentioned, both of them end up living their life as if it's a movie here. When Dawson's, storyboards this whole romantic encounter that we get to at the end of the episode, that is 100% a scene out of a movie. And when Joey goes on her date with the mystery man that we're soon to meet, that is literally a scene out of a movie. And not only is it a scene out of a movie, she adopts a movie character's name initially. She goes by Deborah Carr, then catches it and corrects it to Deborah Carson. So
Yeah, and that Deborah Carr is actually the actress. So she's the actress.
Interesting.
Yeah. The first time I watched
Yeah.
it, I was like, why did Joey just come up with that name? And then when I
Yeah.
watched it again, I was like, oh, there it is.
Plays
There we go.
like a character named Karen. in
Karen.
Here to Eternity. Yeah.
She has a really horrible haircut and complains about minorities. It's a really crazy Karen character.
What a fun episode, or what a fun movie to watch late at night with your platonic romantic friend.
Also, has anyone ever seen From Here to Eternity?
No.
I only
No.
know about them
No.
making out on the beach, with the water.
Famous scene.
Is that movie just 2 hours of that?
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing
what
I
it
know from
seems
the
like,
movie.
yeah.
Okay.
Must be.
Also, thought it was interesting that our last episode, Stella mentioned that we were in the first scene we were watching a clip from Dawson's movie, and you were wondering if that was going to be a thing. But this is kind of similar. We're watching a scene from a movie in the first scene of the episode. I thought that was
That they then
interesting.
play
Again,
out basically in real
Yeah.
life.
which is what last episode was we watched a scene that they were kind of working on for Dawson's movie.
And we still do get a clip from his movie at the end of this. Yeah, a really good scene, too.
Yeah.
So after the intro theme, we get into Mr. Gold's film class where all the students are arguing about how they can touch up Cliff's script for Helmets of Glory because they're going to be shooting it that weekend. And, the last episode I argued that this is a better, like, Helmets of Glory sounds like it's going to be a better movie than
How are you feeling about that?
Yeah.
I still think it's better. It's not good, but it's better,
Yeah.
because especially after seeing how Dawson shoots his final scene for his big epic movie, that looks like trash. But here, this is not good that they